Can you really die of a broken heart? In January of 2015, luckily my parents didn't have to answer that question. That would have been just 1 month after I had to say goodbye to my St. Bernard Bosley. And I know people who aren't animal people or dog people probably don't understand that at all. But for me, Bosley wasn't just a dog. He was my baby, one of my babies. And I just didn't have enough time. I had just been playing in the yard with him, playing fetch with him. He was bright-eyed and attentive and running and chasing and happy and healthy, I thought. And I noticed him limping, and I thought he just twisted his knee or something. And I took him to the vet, and there was nothing that they could do. He had bone cancer, and 6 days later, I had to put him down. And those 6 days broke me. And the days after that continued to break me. Now, I have no doubt, none whatsoever, that the event with Bosley triggered this event. Because when I got to the hospital, I started declining rapidly. And the doctors could not tell my family anything the entire time that I was there, other than, we don't know, we think, maybe. And this would become the words that we would get to know very well. However, the emotions that were associated with those words, from my perspective, never changed. They always evoked the same emotions in me, which were frustration, anger, resentment, fear, and wonder as to why, in today's world and innovation, why this was okay in America's healthcare system. Now, some of the things that I experienced are things that I do not remember, because it's things that my family had to tell me, because I just simply do not remember. And this is why. One of the things was getting ice baths, because my body temperature was upwards of 105 going towards 106. Another thing was getting a bear hugger, because I would then become hypothermic. So they couldn't figure out what was going on, and they consulted with the Mayo Clinic, and the Mayo Clinic was like, you have done everything we can think of to tell you to do. The best thing that you can do is to send her to the University of Cincinnati, because they are a level 1 trauma center and they can do a brain biopsy. My family obviously was terrified. I was like, I'm going to get a brain biopsy? Like, I didn't even register. I remember that night, I wasn't even lucid enough to realize what that meant. It was really cold that night, and I had to go by an ambulance. And they sent me there to get a brain biopsy, and the neurosurgeons are like, the only viable place that we can get one is on the brainstem. It's not worth the risk. So they couldn't get one. They started over. They did everything over. It was really hard at that second hospital. A lot of really good people there. They still had no answers. They started over. They did everything. They had multiple different networks that they could consult from. Nobody, and I mean nobody, could tell my family anything other than, we're going to try this, which was basically plasmapheresis and high-dose steroids. We're just going to try to get the inflammation down from her brain and her spinal cord and hope that not too much damage was done. Well, I couldn't lift my feet off of the bed. I mean, not even that much. But I remember two things. I remember them coming into my room, and all the doctors lined up across the room. and a lot of them were students, but there were several neurologists. And I remember them saying, mostly to my parents because I wasn't at my 100%, but I was listening. And clearly I was lucid enough to where I remember this conversation. And I remember him saying to my parents, we don't know 100% what this is, but based on everything that we're looking at, we believe that it is something, if not multiple sclerosis. But I had students that were all lined up in front of me and going out the door. Well, I didn't want to look at anybody because, and I will talk about this so much on my channel because I hate it now. When they imagine multiple sclerosis, the first thing, and right now what's coming to your mind, what are you thinking about when you hear multiple sclerosis? You think mobility, you think wheelchair, you think a walker. No, we shouldn't. But that's what I thought of too. And I knew I was gonna lose it. I didn't want to do it in front of anybody. And I just went, paralyzed. I'm already paralyzed. Paralyze me with doing a spinal tap, but don't watch me break down kind of thing. That's how I was back then. Clearly not now. But that's when I was broken. And then I went to rehab. And me and my friends thought, I'm going to go over there and I am going to tear this shit up with my elderly folk. The second thing I remember was a doctor who said, you need to start an antidepressant before you leave here. And I'm like, I mean, they don't really know that I have MS. I mean, they don't know anything. That's all I've been told. I'm good. I worked in mental health. She finally talked me into it. It wasn't dumb. It was a good thing to start. I worked my butt off in therapy. And when they asked me for my goals, you know what I said? I said, April, whatever it was, is my first bass fishing tournament of the year, and I'm going to be there. Get me there. And she's like, well, that's kind of a grandiose goal, but, we'll do our best. I was doing pretty good, I thought. And then I get to my family meeting because I'm getting close to discharge. Insurance was running out. Oh, we're going to cover insurance shit because the healthcare system is a big thing. We get in there. They're talking about long-term care maybe. What? Talking about 37 steps on a walker would be the maximum that I would be able to do consecutively, which meant that I was wheelchair bound. I had a meltdown in front of a lot of people, and that was the first time that I had done that. But that moment for me was significant because I thought that I was making good progress in physical therapy, and I clearly wasn't. But the significant thing was the next day. Now, I'm named after my grandma Jo. I am her namesake, and she is so proud of that. But I am even prouder because she is the most remarkable, strongest woman that I have ever met in my life. And she got dementia before I got sick. But we always knew in the family it was a good day if I walked in the room and she greeted me with JoJo. If she called me JoJo, we knew it was a good grandma day. And she just happened the next day to come in to my physical therapy. My aunt and my uncle had brought her in. They just kind of showed up. I don't know, maybe it was planned. I don't know. And I'm going to show you the footage, but I want you to listen. Because in that footage, you can hear her say, JoJo, and how proud she is to say, that's my namesake. And I had already had in my mind, I was going to push myself that day, and I was going to show them people 37 steps, that was crap. I didn't care if it was 38. My mom didn't get everything on film, but where she cuts it off, I turned around, I went all the way back down the hallway and then some. And I had even passed the very first neurologist that I had seen at the first hospital, and he had turned around and looked, and he couldn't believe it was me. I didn't talk to him, but my parents did. And he was surprised that I was even out of the bed. So here's the footage.
No falling, Jojo. By the way, she's got my name. Let's go.
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
I'll keep this fetal space out a little bit. That's better.
Grandma Jo passed in 2019, and she was ready to go. And I miss her dearly. But I am so thankful that I got her determination, her work ethic, her heart, and her grit. Because if I did not have the qualities that she gave me, I would still be in that wheelchair. Because although I don't recommend the things that I did on my own when everybody finally left me alone when I got home, I might still be in the wheelchair still. And I don't recommend the things that I've done. But I refused for anybody to set limitations on me. That's just me. And that transitions me into what comes next. While I will go back and share parts of the rest of the story, because a lot is left out, I want to leave you with this. The problems that awaited me once I left the hospital were enormous. And they started before I ever made it home, because I was discharged, I think at that point, it was over 10 medications. And there were several of them, one of them being Lyrica, which is what allowed me to walk. Without that medication, I wouldn't have been able to walk. I wouldn't have been able to get up. And I couldn't get it right out of the hospital. So the problem started immediately. And it just continued from there. So I knew right away I had to start working in order to get everything that I needed to manage my illness. Even though they didn't know what it was, they knew it was in a category. I knew that I was going to have to be my own biggest advocate. And nobody is going to advocate for you more than you. I can help teach you different things to look out for, which I plan to do. But I encourage you to go ahead and get in that mode. Self-preservation. You found this video for a reason. You are here for a reason. If my story resonates with you in any way, I really encourage you to join our pack, because that's what it is. We're going to survive and thrive together. I want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you to share your story. Go to the community tab. Our voices are so important, and they matter more together. I want us to make our voices so loud that they can't ignore us. When you have a chronic and progressive disease, we can't get out of the healthcare system. We have limited options. They need to see us a lot. They need to hear us a lot. Go ahead, hit that subscribe. And with the changing of insurances right now, If you need help getting your medications, whether you have insurance or not, check out this video about how to get discounts on medications through the GoodRx program and see if that can help you out. And just know that here on this channel at Misunderstood Grit, the whole reason I started this channel is because we deserve, we need to be seen, to be heard, in a place where we are all understood. And that is my goal here. And that's what we're going to do. So welcome to Misunderstood Grit. And I look forward to hearing your story and how I can help you fight this obnoxious healthcare system.